goal is to bring you your next favorite band.
Sweet, that intro is my new favorite band. That's phenomenal. I'm so excited to be on.
Yeah. I heard a rumor that you might be able to play that song live today.
You heard correctly. Yes.
Excellent. So,
good enough for Robert.
I don't know when I rock out here on your next favorite band and show.
and listen, it's going to be everybody's favorite band.
Phil, you weren't supposed to make me get all... God almighty,
But this
Phil.
is why we do it.
Like, seriously. I gotta gather myself. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Welcome to your next favorite band. That's both the show title and our promise to you. We here at Stereophilia Studio are tireless in our pursuit of finding incredible, genre-defiant artists who are either a hot, up-and-coming band or a group that has been delivering for years but have flown under the radar.
Tonight, we have the fiery, bluesy, rock and roll fever dream birthed in Missouri's fertile musical heartland, the Hooten Hallers.
Each month, we will bring you live streams, audio podcasts, and perhaps even a live concert where you can listen to the stories and hear the music of artists personally curated by us based on what we feel will be worthy of your time. Be sure to subscribe and tune in to each episode because the possibilities are endless and you never know who will be
Your next favorite band.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Philip Reese.
Hello, and I'm your co-host, David Moore.
And you are listening to...
Your next favorite band.
And tonight's guest definitely became my next favorite band back once upon a time when I saw them.
The Hooten Hallers.
The Hooten Hallers. Honored to have them. And came out of the thing that I always... It's basically kind of almost what this show is about, the music discovery element of the opener. I saw them open for Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band and loved it. Absolutely loved it and couldn't get enough and then reached out and they were kind enough to say yes and here we are.
It's always fun when that happens, when you find that opener that you go like this. Oh, wait. In between sets, you're running over to the merch stand or whatever it is.
Yes.
And then we also have a podcast, which is not what, I don't know, maybe everybody does now, but they run over and try and book them as a ghost.
But do love the opener. Everybody does know that about me and the show. But go see the opener. Make sure when you buy tickets to a show, go see don't miss that. That's amazing. But before we get to the guest, once again, David, we put on a show. Like we didn't go see a show. We hosted one
72 hours ago.
Yes, not that long ago.
If anybody's watching this in real time.
Yeah, and a lot of times this is the moment where we play a clip of a video or what have you. Two things happened. One, I was enjoying the show so much, I did not pull my phone out to record anything. And of course, the show we're talking about was the Your Next Favorite Band presents Shug Daniels and Roy and the Secret People acoustic. What I do have is some photo, though, because the other thing that happened was it's the first show that we tried to really... I don't know how to say this the right way. Like, we took the recording of it seriously. Like, we got a board recording. We set up multiple cameras in the room. We're going to edit that all together and kind of treat it where we'll maybe take a, like, we're going to treat ourselves a little more seriously, I guess. Not like anything previously wasn't serious, but as far as the actual production of the...
Wait, we were supposed to be serious?
Right. But what we're just doing is we were just saying, you know, it's at Godfrey Daniels. We can get a good board recording. We can get great shots in the room. So yeah, we're excited for that. But as a result, 72 hours later, we obviously don't have that produced yet.
Well, Martin Scorsese doesn't edit that fast.
No, he does not.
I mean, that's why it takes a while.
He does not. But we do have some great pictures. Tina Pastor was basically a volunteer for Godfrey Daniels, and she had her camera and just took wonderful photos. So if you go out there, give her a follow, and you're going to see a ton
really
of...
great.
Yeah. So there's Shug, and the bassist, King Jester, was just amazing. I mean, like, he put such care underneath her, like, as far as just simply being that foundational support of the rhythm.
Well, he was extremely tasty with the choices he made, but on top of it, because she plays with just a ukulele, he had a lot of space
Yep.
And he took advantage of it without ever being flamboyant.
Correct. I mean, like, there were moments where she was being gentle, like it was a quieter moment, and you would think he would just stop. Nope. He just knew exactly how little to touch those bass strings and give it just that little bit of texture. And man, was it great. He was a joy to watch. And of course, Suge, who I always refer to as the light of the world, put on a show, as she always does. So that was amazing. And then we had Roy and the Secret People as an acoustic trio, Madeleine Elizabeth and Ed Golden flanking Mike Roy. And just, again, to hear and see them perform, I just love it. I mean, their music, Roy and the Secret People music, is very much that high energy rock show, and to see them in that acoustic trio format was just again just a very, very special, cool thing. So, loved it. Can't wait to see what the production comes out as. But we're gonna do more of these. We're gonna have more like Your Next Favorite Band Presents shows, where we're gonna try and spotlight and highlight that music discovery angle. So we hope that we're building trust with everyone, that if you see that, you might be interested in buying the ticket, even though you may never have heard of the band. Most likely we will have interviewed them. Like, we're not going to bring somebody on the stage necessarily. I can't promise that, but in most cases we will have interviewed them.
If we can get Elton John to just play without an interview, I think we would take it. But otherwise...
But like we said, it's got to be Reginald Dwight. It can't be
it's
Elton
only featuring stuff before.
Right.
And like the stuff when he did studio commercial work.
Pre-EJ. Yes, yeah, and any kind of jingles, commercials, whatever he's got in the
You're
bag.
in the same vein as I am. We've got a very specific focus we're going to tackle this with.
Yeah. And then the only other thing to promote is next Friday, if you're in the kind of Lehigh Valley reachable area, the Levitt show next Friday night, so June 21st, is Sounds of the Underground Music Collective. Gerard Longo, you've seen him on this show before, kind of started that business here in the Lehigh Valley, moved it to Nashville. It's doing great things. And he came back and brought the Nashville-style songwriters round to the Lehigh Valley, where we kind of co-curated the lineup of, the local songwriters. And so this is a very cool opportunity to hear from. And you can look at this lineup. Holy smokes! Alex Radis, Bren, Chelsea Mitchell of Dirty Dollhouse, Greg Adams of Tioga, Kuffnutz and Christina Lease, and Ty Valone and Brie MC of the Groove Merchants, again, playing those songs in those different styles, more acoustic, more, and then the other more special thing about the Songwriters Round, obviously, is the stories and how the songwriters interact with each other. But once they start to pick up each other's vibes and stuff, it's a very, very cool thing. So for that to be a free show on the Levitt stage, definitely going to be great.
And if you haven't been one before, the concert is even held in different, where an artist will play one song.
Yes.
And then it moves to the next person.
Yep.
And then they move around. And they come back around. And it's a very fun way to see a show. Especially when they start vibing with each other. That's one of those things that it's fun to see that happen.
Yeah, you can't quite possibly predict how it's going to play out, but it's always, always special. So let's now talk about tonight's guest and how special their live shows are. As I mentioned, saw them open for a band and just couldn't get enough. And totally unique and different sound. I think you'll get that right off the top here. Probably we often try and feature the gateway song off the top, and so this is probably that gateway song for the Hooten Hallers. Here's their song called Heal It.
For you when you got a broken heart. I said no one's gonna heal it for you, but you knew that from the start. You can lay around wishing till you're blue in the face, but I just don't have enough time to waste. No one's gonna heal it for you when you got a broken heart. You only get one turn in the game of life, so you got to do the best that you can. You don't waste your time staring at the hourglass, living with your head in the sand. Oh, there's lots of people in this great big world waiting on a friend like you. You gotta pick yourself up and brush yourself off. You're waiting on somebody too. Wow, no one's gonna heal it for you when you got a broken heart.
For the past 17 years, the Hooten Hallers have been crisscrossing the country as road warriors, bringing their peculiar version of Americana, a fiery, bluesy, rock and roll fever dream birthed in Missouri's fertile music heartland. The Hooten Hallers are known for their incendiary live shows that must be experienced to be believed. The power trio are driven by the infernal vocal growl and swirling electric and lap steel guitars of John Randall, the powerful drumming and falsetto howl of Andy Ream, and the burning baritone and bass saxophone lines of Kelly Everett. Their fifth studio album, The Devil's Egg, a new fantasy rock opera, is set to release everywhere August 9th, 2024.
Let's bring this back up. We'll bring John on the show.
So far, it's a poison that'll kill a man. Ain't no use trying to run and hide. Gotta deal with it however you can. It'll push away all those people you love. That's the last thing you wanna do. Life can be nasty, brutish, and short, and we're all going through it too. Wow, no one's gonna heal it for
Welcome to the show, John Randall.
Hey guys.
Thank
Hello,
you so
John.
much. What a fun song this is.
Oh, thank you.
And it reminded me of, so you're from Missouri. It reminded me kind of that sound that would be on the Mississippi River, on the showboats, those kind of like, that fun party vibe that's going on, and that throwback sound.
You know, that's kind of where we were coming from with a lot of that sound. Kelly is our saxophone player. Kelly is a big time 1920s hot jazz enthusiast. I mean, she's not playing in our group. She's playing in several other groups that tend to trend towards the old timey jazz. And St. Louis, where we're all originally from, and where Kelly currently lives, obviously there's a big history of that kind of music out there. And
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we were trying to capture a little bit of that vibe. I'm glad that you guys picked up on that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't necessarily maybe appreciate how much St. Louis birthed a lot of music. I mean, you've got a lot of the rock and roll roots coming through there. You've got Scott Joplin and type of. Yeah. So, you've got
the river
all that.
brought it all through. It's like the river was instrumental in that. And I wish I knew actually more. I wish I could speak more intelligently about the St. Louis music history, but that's really Kelly's expertise, and she's not here with me. Chuck Berry from St. Louis.
That's right. Yeah. Chuck Berry. Yeah. I mean,
have heard of
the
it.
king of rock and roll.
Yeah. And you had, the musicians kind of going between Chicago and New Orleans, and always obviously stopping along the way. It just would make a ton of sense. So, but yeah, I mean, that was a song that was on your album called Back in Business Again.
Yeah.
Which what I found amazing about that was when I did when I looked up kind of the research on it, it was recorded and basically ready to be released right before the pandemic hits. Which then you clearly hold it because you don't know what's about to happen. But then when you release it, when everything gets a little bit more, I guess, trustworthy that it's going to be okay, to release something called Back in Business Again probably had great branding.
It was, especially that song, and that was written obviously before the pandemic happened, and it gained a whole new kind of meaning, at least in my mind, when once that happened, and then we were finally back to it and ready to release the music. It just said, it was a different vibe.
And people who are familiar with the show, we always feature at least one song in the intro like we just did, and then we always feature one song post credits, and we're going to play the song, the title track of that album, Back in Business Again, post credits. So hang around for that because it's a great track as well. And then we're going to have some fun with some music in between. But that song, like we had talked about, it's a kind of a gateway song because there ain't nobody who are gonna not like that song, but it isn't necessary. I heard someone referred to it as the more Disney version of the Hooten Hallers.
It's our most Disney song. It's a very positive, uplifting message, and just we kind of joke about that internally.
Yeah,
it's our Disney song.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite sound super Disney, I guess, but it's got elements.
No, totally.
It's a family friendly. It's definitely a family friendly tune.
Right.
Maybe our
There's
most family friendly.
I was gonna say there's a Jungle Book moment that could happen. With that.
Yeah. Is it a coming of age story too? I don't know. Maybe.
There was Princess and the Frog was that's a New Orleans based one, so that could also have that vibe as well. But there was another element to the sound that I had heard in some of the descriptions where you were embracing kind of pre-World War II sound. And I just didn't know exactly. I didn't know exactly what that was referencing, and I just didn't know if you could speak to that a little bit.
So that generally we would reference like early Delta blues is pre-war music. So is that kind of riverboat jazz that
Oh, cool.
we were kind of referencing before. But now that I say pre-war blues, it's like that chord progression is basically just lifted off of a Robert Johnson song. A lot of different chord progressions, I guess, are in the grand scheme of things, but that bears some similarities to Hot Tamales and a Red Hot. Yeah, she got them for sale. So that's a little bit of that pre-war flavor.
Got it. Yeah. And I heard too, Buddy Guy, I heard talk about when he was asked, where did you invent all these licks? And he says, invent them. I learned them from Muddy Waters, and Muddy was taught by someone else. And we're just carrying the blues, through each other, and that's what it is. Like that's what it's meant to be. So I get what you mean by that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. And together 17 years. That's impressive.
17 years. 2007, St. Patrick's Day of 2007 was our first show. Me and Andy had been playing. So when we started out, we were just two, me and the drummer Andy. And
I heard you guys met at through your girlfriend at a battle of the bands, and you competed without even really knowing each other.
So we didn't even meet there. That was the first time we crossed paths. But we didn't interact at that event at all. And Andy's band actually won. They won the grand prize of that, which is it's cool. I'm happy for him still, honestly.
That's still 17 years later. There's not.
I let that go a long time ago, and
Andy's not here tonight to defend himself, but it's fine.
And so you're at this point, I guess, you start meeting each other and forming this band and playing when you're both in college, right? And that's in Columbia, Missouri?
Right, and that was in Columbia, Missouri. And that was through said girlfriend at the time had gone to high school with Andy, so that was kind of the connection that led us both to hang out. And we were just kind of listening to a lot of the same types of music, and had both obviously been playing in bands before, but we're not currently. And so we decided to just start kind of jamming. And we saw there's a bar here in Columbia called the Blue Fugue that back in the day was it's not around anymore, but it was the place where me and Andy constantly hung out, and it ended up working. And it was just it was a very cool sort of like locals type bar in this college town. And we saw a show there that was the Black Diamond Heavies. I'm not sure if you guys know.
Yeah.
Not currently
they're
not
a duo.
a band anymore, but they're a duo, and they were on tour with Left Lane Cruiser, a band that's from Fort Wayne, Indiana, who is still playing, who's a two-piece. And we just had our minds blown by this show, and it was one of the coolest things that either of us had ever seen. And it was just two people making all this noise, and so we were kind of like, we can do that. And turns out there's a lot of people who have been making, or not a lot, but there's many two-piece bands. And I had already been listening to the White Stripes, so that was a thing that I was aware of, or flat duo jets. But seeing Left Lane Cruiser and the Black Diamond Heavies do it at our little bar right in front of us just really kind of like made us say, shit, we should do something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
You guys have been doing that.
Yeah. And you turned to Andy, and you won Battle of the Bands. You're the winner.
Yeah.
We got this.
I need your power, man.
And so at the time also you're studying Russian in college, which I found to be...
I studied Russian in college.
Yeah, that's
I took it in high school, and so I already had some knowledge, which I ended up taking it in high school because my high school offered it, and if you put that you had any interest in that, they gave it to you automatically because there weren't a lot of people that were trying to take Russian.
Yeah.
And so when I went to the university, I tested out of like the first semester, or maybe it was even 2 semesters, but got a bunch of credits that way that were kind of like applied to a
Sure.
Russian major. So I don't feel like I really necessarily got a Russian major. I don't think that I could like go get a job speaking
Right.
Russian, and I don't think that it's been a long time since I've been in college, but I don't think that really even right out of college I could do that. But it enabled me to at least graduate with a degree that I am thankful for but haven't used.
Sure.
Really, I'm more thankful for the people that I met when I was in college.
Sure.
Andy and a lot of my other friends
Right.
included.
Yeah. How about influences? Like, when did you start with music, and what drew you to it, where you wanted to create it and perform it?
So I started playing guitar in around third grade. I'm not sure what age. I have a hard time thinking of what my age was around that time. Maybe 10 years old.
8 or 9.
Eight or 9 years old.
8, 9, 10, yeah, depending on what
That was like
third
my
grade
first
is.
like real guitar lesson. But my dad had a guitar when I was growing up, younger than that. He wasn't ever in bands or anything, but he would break it out on Saturday morning and just kind of, he was into jazz. He'd be playing some nice chords down early morning in the living room. And I have a memory of going down there and pushing the overdrive button on his little practice amp. And liking that sound, I guess, because
there you go.
I sort of stuck with it. But once I started taking lessons, it was not immediately. I wasn't necessarily into it right away, and it was kind of like maybe the wrong style of teacher. I had a guy who was teaching my third grade self how to read music on a staff and play these little one note Mary Had a Little Lamb style melodies.
So much cross, what is it? Oh my God, cross.
Hot cross bun.
Hot cross bun. Thanks. My
Hot
brain was
cross
like,
buns.
I was trying to put a word
Definitely
after cross. Like I was like, there's not. This is not correct.
But yeah, I didn't really connect with that so much, I guess, and it felt more like work and less enjoyable. And I wanted to quit initially, but switched to a different guitar teacher who was a long hair, ripped jeans, cigarette smoking, rock and roll guy, big combat boots sort of fella. And
Right.
the way he taught me was he was just like, bring in a tape and tell me the song that you want to learn, and he would listen to this song and somehow miraculously could figure out how to play it in a few minutes.
I've watched people
write
do that,
it
and I was
down
like,
on a piece
You're
of
like
paper.
a magician.
It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and so then I was all of a sudden could play these simple chords that were from CDs and tapes that I got from my older sister, and just being able to replicate something that I had heard, it made it much more exciting to me. And so that at that point I kind of really started to get into, I guess, music and listening to my own music and finding out what I liked. And then I would take it in every Monday to Jimmy, and he would figure out some way to write that down in tablature form. I still have an old binder from way back in the day that has all of these songs that are kind of cringy to me now, but I'm still, it's a wonderful memory that I have.
Of course.
But it was.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't really know what I was going to say. I was just going to kind of keep on talking.
Where did it pivot to performance? Like, where did you get that bug?
Well, let's see. I started. My first actual band was probably in 2000 when I went to high school. I started playing jazz band at that point, and formed a little group with people from that jazz band, and we went and played a rip-off battle of the bands where you get a bunch of tickets and you sell them to your family and friends, and somebody at the end of the night makes tons of money, and it's none of the children that are playing in these bands. But it was it was an amazing experience, and that got me wanting to do that more. And that band didn't last more than a couple of months or something, but I was eventually in another band in high school, and we played at school events. Anytime there was a talent show, or occasionally we we weasel our way into a halftime show at a baseball or at a basketball or a football game or something like that. But really by like the middle of high school, I was kind of fully, not enjoying school or homework and finding this other thing that was like, I feel like I could maybe devote my life to this thing that doesn't require those. And I don't know, I just kind of kept on rolling with that. Was in another band out of after high school and before I hooked up with Andy that we did our first tour, and that I got a tattoo on my first tour, and this was all kind of very formative moments, and
Of course.
making me want to kind of do this as a living, or making it something that I'm at least going to be involved with for the rest of my life.
Yeah, and like, I guess I would love to know too, like where the vocal stylings came from, because I'll just describe it quickly in that, and again, we haven't quite gotten to Kelly joining the band yet, but when I saw you perform last year, I walk in and I sit down, and in front of me is a dude playing lap steel guitar, a drummer who's standing up, and a woman with a comically large saxophone putting sound out that I've never heard before. And then you start to sing, and I couldn't quite identify it at the time, loving it, of course, but I was like, man, what does that sound like? And then, when we were prepping and we get the bio, it's listed as an infernal growl, which, hello there.
This is Billy. He came to say hi.
Nice, love it. Welcome to the show, Billy. But yeah, so the infernal growl fit perfectly. And then somewhere along the way I read it was a marriage or a love child of Tom Waits and George Thorogood. And I was like, yeah, that's perfect.
Those are both definitely people who have influence over that kind of style. It's
Right.
this like low throat growl. How did it start? 'Cause I didn't always sing that way, and
Sure.
it was like, so some of it was because I'm trying to sing as loud. I was trying to sing loud, and we used to be a much louder band. We were just cranked up and playing as hard and as
Right. On
basically
overdrive.
as loud as we could.
It's sort of the punk.
And so I was
influence
just like
side
really
of it.
letting the microphone eat, and I found that by doing this kind of false bass sound that I could put a lot more volume, or at least make it cut through the mix in a way that it wasn't
Right.
doing before. And a friend of mine had shown me this like Mongolian throat singing.
Yeah.
These guys, and that's like one component of the way that those people are able to sing is this low growl that comes
Sure.
kind of from this like tight throat, and then there's all of these other voices and these kind of higher harmonies, and even this like upper nasal harmony thing that I can't do, but
Well, that's what we have Andy for. He
being
can
aware,
worry about the high notes.
Yeah. Just being aware of this Mongolian throat singing and trying to replicate that, I think maybe
Sure.
was where I discovered that I could kind of push this low growl out of my voice. And then going back to pre-war music,
Right.
Blind Willie Johnson sings. He got mustard gassed in World War I, and it gave him this insanely raspy, growly voice that's really similar to that too. And I think I
Sure.
definitely get some of that from him.
Yeah. I love it. I thought, again, like it was just hypnotic to this whole like cacophony of sound and image. Like it was just like, what is going on? And I couldn't take my eyes off it. The only reason why I don't have any images from that night is I had surgery like 10 days earlier on my shoulder.
Yeah.
So I didn't have two hands to like pull out a phone and snap a picture or some video. But we've got other stuff we can share. But like, I just loved it. It was the Sellersville Theater here in Pennsylvania, which was the show that I caught. And it's just such a great venue. And
that was a really cool place.
yeah, it's a very cool place. And it's the first time I ever saw them not put tables out front. Normally there's tables and chairs in that front section.
Really?
But I don't know if it's artist decision or not, because it wasn't there and it allowed everybody to just stand up and hang out in that area, which was awesome. I needed to sit every now and again because I was hopped up on painkillers. But, and I was also nervous about like again getting bumped into or whatever, but it didn't happen. But the point was,
Phil's glad there
loving
was no
loving the
pit.
show. Yeah, I thought I was going to sit the whole time and
Crowd
even
surfing.
yeah, yeah. I thought I would be sitting the whole time, and yet you guys had me up and out of the chair because it was such a great time.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, the sound is super original, and you know the writing of the music. Basically, if I understand it right, again, you had said to each other you were never going to add a bassist. You would only add a saxophonist to play bass or something like that. And then was that like a way that you were saying this would never happen, and you like the universe was like, haha, here's Kelly and she's awesome, or were you truly looking for a sax bassist?
Kind of. I mean, really, what mostly inspired that was we were listening to this band called the Soledad Brothers.
Okay.
Johnny Walker, he was from, I think it was either Toledo or Detroit or somewhere up there. But they had a live album where for a couple of the songs, their bass player put the bass guitar down and played this baritone saxophone, and it sounded so fucking cool.
Right.
It's a very morphine thing as well. At that
Yeah.
point
It was a very morphine thing at the time. I don't know. At least I wasn't hip to morphine at that time, but maybe Andy was. But that's since Kelly has joined the band, we've definitely become very familiar with
right,
with morphine, just from people.
I'm sure it
People
gets
saying
referenced.
you guys are doing this morphine thing here, and so then I'll go and listen, and it's like they are awesome. I'm happy to be compared to morphine. And the slide too. It's like I'm not playing a bass, but there's definitely a very morphine-y thing going on in our band. I can't deny that.
Yeah. And Kelly was more of a fan at the time, right? She moves to Missouri, she sees you all play and becomes a fan of your band, and then you needed somebody to come to the studio to record, and you asked her to join, right?
Well, I don't know that she was necessarily already a fan of the band. I think that we met Kelly through...
I asked her ahead of time. She said I was just kidding.
Oh. Well, if Kelly said that, then it's true.
Our pre-screening process.
Yeah.
She was...
I have to triple source all this stuff.
Kelly had just moved to St. Louis to be with our longtime friend Ryan Koenig, who was at the time was the harmonica player for Pokey Lafarge's band. Him and Kelly met when they were on the road, when Pokey's band was on the road out in Wilmington, where she lived at the time. Her and Ryan fell in love, and she eventually moved to St. Louis. And Ryan had played on our first album. He had played the harmonica on that, and he would play live with us when we were coming through to St. Louis. And
Sure.
My old band and his band, that was that first tour that I told you about was with Ryan's band. So we had already been friends for a while, and so Kelly came with him to the studio, and she played on a couple of songs. I think it was just 2 songs on, or maybe it was 3 songs on Chillicothe Fireball that Kelly played on, and she was already at the time had already joined a jazz band in St. Louis that was working pretty hard, but she didn't like the band leader was kind of a dick, and so when we kind of begged her to join our band full time, she we were at that time we were touring a lot, and we were probably on the road 180 days a year or something like that, and so we were a little bit worried that she wouldn't want to give up this other gig that she had going on, but turns out she was happy to ditch that guy, and
she's got to really want to be
she's sort of been with us ever
at
since.
all, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The first couple of tours, she would only play on those 3 songs, and then would help out at the merch table for the rest of the time. But she very quick. I mean, she's an amazing musician. She very quickly came up with her own parts and really kind of changed the way that at least the music felt to be played, and really changed the dynamic of the band too. Just having a third person in the band, it makes things easier. I don't know. It's like when it's just 2 people, you can get in weird mental wavelengths, and when you're spending all of your time together,
No, I hear
and Kelly is very kind of emotionally intelligent person, and she introduced all of this kind of communication and self-advocacy and things that are like really have enabled us to last and thrive as a band for so many years. It's like we owe a lot of that to Kelly, I think.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, and I mentioned before, so like we've been talking about the baritone sax, and then there's a bass sax, which is enormous, and I talked
Even
about it
bigger.
before, mentioning it's comically large. Here's a picture of what that looks like. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
when she walked out on stage with it, I honestly thought it was somewhat of a prop. Like I thought
It's
it
just
was
some
like,
kind
okay.
of joke.
Yeah. And then she starts playing it, and she's so good. I mean, it just was like, and then if you don't lose sight of how, again, comically large that is, the sound is incredible. Like
Yeah.
the
huge.
mixture of all that stuff.
It is huge.
Yeah. Here's
my
another
wife
one
is
too.
my wife is a low reed player, and she was so happy to see another
Nice.
woman in such a prominent role playing. Like she's like, "Oh, this is great." She's like, "Her breath control has to be amazing." Like it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
This
It
is a
takes
shot
lot
of-
breath, I think.
Kind of what I was talking about before. This is what you walk into is, there's John
Yeah.
playing lap steel. There's Andy standing up. He's not getting into the kit. That's what he does. He stands and plays. And then you have Kelly playing the incredibly large bass saxophone. Then she does have the baritone sax, which is still large, but doesn't quite look like that, where it could almost, be, knock her over if not, for
People like to say, it's taller than you. It's not actually, though.
No, it
She's
is
got
not.
several inches on it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it is like I said, the look of that is amazing, and then the sound is even better. So, wanted to get into some of the music. So there's a couple other things I want to touch on, but we'll do it afterwards. Let's get to the new music. So, the new stuff is a rock opera, which David and I are massive fans of concept albums. So.
Awesome.
When we started hearing about that, we were like, "Oh hell yeah, let's learn more about this." And it's called "The Devil's Egg." And
Devil's
lucky for
Egg.
us, the title track, the first single off of it, got dropped yesterday.
Yeah.
So we have some of it here. Let me let it play a little bit, and
Give
then
it a
I'll
spin.
bring it down, and we can chat about it. So here is "The Devil's Egg" by the Hooten Hallers.
From the great beyond, before time began, there came a vessel night which searched for souls. Then it called to those who could hear its yell, and it gathered them within the shell. The devil's egg, the devil's egg. The devil's egg, the devil's egg.
So, incredible start to things. Is this the second track off of that?
It's the second track.
Yeah.
The first
Um,
track is kind of a spoken word prologue.
Intro prologue.
I mean, it's
got
like
into
any
that.
good concept album. You have to have some spoken word part.
There's-
Like,
there's
I mean, you got to
definitely
set the
narration.
groundwork.
There's a narrator.
So tell us a little bit more about the overall concept. What you can reveal. It'll come out in early August, but for now,
It'll come out in early
give us
August.
a little rundown of what the kind of premise is.
So basically, it's a story about a group of kind of disillusioned teenagers who are in a band, and they discover this kind of ancient alien artifact, life form, soul trap, portal type. It's complicated. They get whisked away to a terrifying dimension. There's some scary things that happen to them there, and then they have to figure out how to escape from it. And that's kind of where
Awesome.
where the album will sort of lead the listener.
Got it. And you're obviously the music comes out on the 9th. You're gonna tour it in the States and in Europe, right?
Right, and we're gonna.
And you're playing it from beginning to end in completion, so that
play
you're
it from
getting
start to finish.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And that'll involve us using some We're gonna have to get a sample pad to play these voiceovers, but we're still gonna play.
Sure.
And we might even incorporate some light looping if we can, because there's some tracking on this. You can hear there's like, I'm not gonna play a bass guitar, but there are some times in the album when it would be cool to have a little bit of layering. So we're gonna pull out a few things that we haven't done in the past.
Sure. Oh, and we're getting some good chat here as well. People coming in. We have William here is saying, "What's up, John?"
Oh yeah, William Aisley, what's up, dude?
Love the new song. He says he's going to see you on July 3rd and 5th.
This man is a road warrior. Him and his wife Tia have come to see us. I don't even know how many states, but all over the Midwest. These guys will get in and drive several hours. So
love it. Well, thank you for tuning in
road
today.
dogs.
Here's Jennifer.
Jennifer. Also
love.
from Ohio.
Nice. And then there's a question there that I'll get back to once we're done with the song. So, also, what kind of inspired the concept album? Like, what brought along like the? Is this like from long car rides touring the country where you're like, what if we did a whole rock opera about this?
I mean, kind of. It started as a joke. We were eating a lot of hard-boiled eggs.
So can I say, I listened to a podcast where you were talking to them and you talked about that and you actually referenced the devil's egg. And this was probably from like 2018 or something like that. Is that how far back this goes?
Well,
or maybe it was I don't know when it was, but anyway, it was like the podcast was you were basically post-show, you were getting talked to and you were talking about hard-boiled eggs and you even started to like, you could tell there was a joke or an inside kind of story between the three of you. But you didn't get into it, and I loved it.
I'm not sure what it was if it was the devil's egg at that time. So we eat a lot of hard-boiled eggs on the road.
Sure.
I eat a lot of hard-boiled eggs on the road. It's a great gas station
good
snack.
Quick protein, yeah.
It's good, quick protein. It's a whole food. It's not full of a bunch of weird, random crap. So I don't know. It's a good road snack, I think. And for a while, we would keep a jar of Tony Chachere's Cajun seasoning in the van. We would call it egg salt. We would season our hard-boiled eggs with this egg salt. And so we started tweeting at Tony C's, trying to get them to like hop on this.
Sure.
We're eating hard-boiled eggs with your product, and it's great. And they never really fully got on board with that. But during the time,
now that they can underwrite the tour.
I had this vision of like a hard-boiled egg that was just completely covered in Tony C, like just covered in a mountain of Tony C's. It's completely caked in this stuff, and it would be inedible at that point. And I was referred to that as the devil's egg. And I think I asked Kelly, "Would you eat the devil's egg?" And so we were just joking about this, the devil's egg. And then we're like, "That's actually kind of a cool phrase. Like, what?
Sure.
What is the devil's egg?" So then we just started sort of brainstorming on that, and we had several different directions that we could have taken the devil's egg. We were just going to kind of make a little EP out of it, but then the more we sat there and sort of joked about it, the more it became a real thing. And then before long, it was this whole album, and now here we are. We've got a devil's egg themed album. The album itself really has nothing to do with eggs, I can say, other than the shape of the artifact
logo
itself is egg-like.
I love it. I can't wait to hear more about it. I can't wait to hear more music and to see the show. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that one of the performances is at least Philly, New York centric. We should try and get it to here in Bethlehem.
Yeah,
let's try and get it here.
Let's make it happen. We'll do it for your next favorite bands live.
There you go. That would be amazing. And good. Best of luck with that. I mean, I think it's an amazing. Like I said, we love the concept stuff, and hope the release and the tour goes great. I wanted to touch on somewhat the other earlier stuff, but then there's this phrase in here I wanted to touch on. So one of your earlier albums was "Greetings from Whelp City."
Greetings from Whelp City. Yeah.
Yeah. And for one, I went on a trip, and there were people there from the Midwest. They were more Illinois rather than Missouri. But this one night, we were sitting around, like, just having drinks later on at night, and the gentleman who was from Illinois just goes, "Well," and he stands up, and we were like, "Oh, he's going to the restroom," and he never came back. And so we were like,
The Midwestern goodbye. You gotta slap your legs and do it too. Well,
that's what I wanted to ask, because at breakfast the next morning, we were like, dude, where'd you go? We were having a great time. And he goes, I said whelp.
That's hilarious. That's not where our Whelp City comes from, but I mean, we are Midwestern, so probably that's where that entered our vocabulary. But at the time, that was something that we would yell when we were getting drunk with our friends. It was just like, it's kind of just like a party call. We'd say Whelp City, or we would just yell Whelp, like, Whelp, as loud as we could. And I don't know why we did that. It's kind of stupid, but
it's certainly
it seemed appropriate at the time to call that was our first. We had recorded a couple albums before that were really kind of like home jobs, and we were burning the CDs and writing on them. So this is our first. Greetings from Whelp City was our first real album that we like recorded in a proper recording studio and got CDs made of it. We never got vinyls made of that because it was too long, and we weren't thinking of that when we recorded it, that it would have to be on 2 vinyls, which was prohibitively expensive for the Hooten Hallers in 2012.
Right.
Maybe someday we will release that on release it for the first time on vinyl, but I don't know, maybe we'll just continue to make other. It's hard to re-release a double album when it's so old and you want to make new music too. Somebody would have to throw a lot of money at us to put that out, and
let's
that
just wish
hasn't
cast
happened.
that. Let's get that to happen.
If anybody out there wants to throw a bunch of money at us, we will definitely print that on double.
Yeah, maybe Tony C's. Like
Tony C.
Yeah.
You will put your stamp. Shit, we'll make that'll be the whole cover.
Right. And then the other phrase I just thought was funny was I don't know if it's PADOI or Padoy.
Padoy.
Yeah.
That stands for put a dog on it, which was another thing that we would just get drunk and yell for some reason. That existed basically as a party call, a way to find your friends, a way to just sort of like release all this drunk pent up energy that we had at the time, I guess.
Sure, it happens. But yeah, I just thought those were awesome, and that whelp thing has stuck with me, where I'm just like, I got to be aware of, if someone says that means goodbye.
That's definitely how I'm entering this interview today. Not now, exactly. But when the time comes, I'm just going to
when I told him I was going to ask about it, he said, I hope he does it at the end of the interview. So there you go. What I'll do, I won't send him this portion. I'll send him just the end, and he will wet himself for sure.
Yeah. All right, we'll do that.
But for now, you had said you might be able to play some live music for us.
Oh yeah, man, definitely. I got my guitar.
Love it.
Right here.
Love it. So whatever you want to play, if you want to play 1, you want to play 2, whatever you want to do, we'll come off the screen, let you have center stage, and if you want to intro the songs and just have at it.
Okay. Let's see. This first one, I'd like to play this song. It's called Charla. This is off of our self-titled album, The Hooten Hallers. We wrote this song for our friend Charla, who lives in this little river town near Columbia, where me and Andy live. It's called Lupus, Missouri. Lupus is a tiny little town that I think the population is 19, maybe it's 20. They got flooded out in the flood of 93, and FEMA gave the residents of this town a bunch of money to move, and they just took that money and jacked all of their houses up on stilts and stayed in the same spot. So all the houses in Lupus are kind of up on stilts. But anyway, Charla was a friend of ours who had us come and play at her house many times back when Lupus used to have this annual chili fest where they would cook a big pot of chili down there at the city hall, and really hundreds of people from the surrounding area would come around, and all of the houses had their own little parties going, and there was this big central party. And Charla would she had this little shed in her backyard that she set up that we could so we could crash out there, and I think she had a little bunk bed out there, and it was like the Hooten Hallers shack, which we just thought was wonderful, and we had such a good time staying out there. And she was just such a sweet person, and we wrote this song for her actually after she donated to a Kickstarter campaign to get us a new van when our tour vehicle had bit the dust. And that was like one of the rewards that we offered for the Kickstarter, was that we'll write you a little song, and Charla's was the only one of those songs that made it onto an album, became something that we played on a regular basis. And yeah, so this one's for her. This is Charla, for Charla. Well, when we first got to Lupus Town, everyone was singing songs. The hippie queen of Lupus Town, she was dancing and singing along. I sat right down, I opened a beer. It didn't take very long till I was partying down in Lupus Town. And then I started singing this song. I'm singing, Charla, don't bar the door too early tonight, 'cause I'm having such a good time, Lord. I wanna sing until the morning light. I'm singing, Charla, do not bar the door too early tonight. I'm gonna stay with you in Lupus tonight. Well, I looked around because I heard laughter. I thought I recognized it was Charla and Dino and the rest of the crew, just lounging in the warm sunlight. That's when Dino rolled the biggest joint I think I've ever seen. If I don't make it home from Lupus tonight, I'm crashing with the hippie queen. And I'm singing, Charla, don't bar the door too early tonight, 'cause I stumble in, pass out on the floor, I sleep until the morning light. I'm singing, Charla, please don't bar the door too early tonight. I'm gonna stay with you in Lupus tonight. Early the next morning, my head was pounding loud. I woke up on the floor with a rusty dog in the middle of the breakfast crowd. And then I swore that I would never drink again, but it didn't take very long was knocking them down in Lupus Town, and everyone was singing this song. They're singing Charlotte, don't bar the door too early tonight, 'cause we all need a place that we could lay our head, and everything would be alright. Singing Charlotte, please don't bar the door too early tonight. I'm gonna stay with you in Lupus tonight. I'm gonna stay with you in Lupus, if that's alright. I'm gonna stay with you in Lupus tonight. Charlotte. Thanks, guys.
Sounds amazing.
Oh, man, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. What a cool song. And what a neat story. Thank you for sharing that. Do you want to do another one?
Yeah, sure. So this next one I'm going to do is called "The Cobbler's Children." This is a song that is on Back in Business Again. Normally I play this on the lap steel, but I just feel like it feels more appropriate in this setting to just play it on the acoustic guitar here. This one was kind of written by all three of us, but it was Kelly's concept, and I think she came up with the phrase and like the chorus, and I think Andy put some work into the words on the verse, and I came up with the guitar part. But yeah, I guess I really don't have much more of an intro for this than that. But this is gonna be a little bit of a different version of that song, but it'll be what it is. Let's see. Let's do a little different. Shielding what I'm building, 'cause you know that prying eyes are bound to lie. See me walking, get to talking, but these plans I'm cooking up are only mine. How you doing what you do when you haven't got a clue about the way the world is working for the poor? I'll be holding up my head, I know the score when I'm dead. Until then I'm heading right on out the door, because I heard these words when I was young, and I never did forget that the cobbler's children have no shoes, and the loser's kids got nothing left to lose. Nothing left to lose. For my luck, but it does not mean that things won't turn my way. I got my ear to the ground, and you know I hear that sound when the good times are coming back to stay. What you're doing all the time is working on your mind, so be careful how you're filling up your head. My eyes are seeing the glory, so if you will hear my story, I'll be working on this building till I'm dead. Because I heard these words when I was young, and I never did forget that the gobbler's children have no shoes, and the loser's kids got nothing left to lose. Ooh, nothing left to lose. Ooh, 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 nothing left to lose. Nothing left to lose. Gobbler's children.
Fantastic.
Thanks, guys.
I love the pivot to make it more
Shut up.
filthy. That was amazing. When you started and you
This
were
is a little
like, wait,
filthy.
let's do it this way. Let's filth this up. Oh, great stuff. And again, lots of cool
glad.
comments in here. Gary, was it Gary? Gary was saying,
Gary
loving
Howlett.
this.
Good man,
Um,
Gary. Gary's
yep.
actually who he named our van. He named it Basil because he's a fine Englishman, and he put everybody's name. I don't know how we got their names. People could sign up, and we put their names in a hat, and we drew their names out of a hat. And Gary won, and he's become our friend ever since. It's like we're so glad he did.
Nice. That's awesome. John Wesley says hi from the good friend John in Lima, Ohio.
Oh yeah, John, what's up, buddy?
And then Chelsea King says howdy.
Chelsea Krieg, what's up?
Oh, sorry, Krieg. Sorry, it's very tiny over here, and then it gets bigger.
I got full
Apologies.
screen. It's
Nice. My apologies, Chelsea.
No, Chelsea knows what's up.
There you go. So again, thank you so much for performing. I mean, that is so treasured.
Man, you're
here,
welcome.
and-
I have such a good time doing that, and I'm really glad that you guys had me on and wanted me to play that stuff. It's like I can keep on playing if you want me to.
We should set that up. Make it like a separate, like just a.
I'm much more comfortable just playing than I am talking.
Well, listen, there's like two more stories I kind of wanted to tap into here, and then we can kind of promote the upcoming fall. But the first one was kind of having to do with a little bit of the lyrics of Charla, but so I want to be sensitive to this. But I remember hearing that like Andy, like has gone sober, and I just always like to applaud that and kind of reference that, and even the song that we led with, Heal It, was kind of, I think he was working on that at the same time, and even though that sounds like it's about a relationship that you have a broken heart, it was somewhat coming out of that time frame where he was working on that because no one could fix that for him. He had to fix it himself.
That's totally true. I think that's a great insight, and it kind of speaks to the different ways that a song can take on different meanings to different people depending on the situation that they're in.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andy's been off the booze for I want to say over 5 years now.
Yeah, good for him.
I just joined him two and a half years ago.
Okay.
So, and then Kelly has always just been a very sensible drinker. Me and
Right.
Andy were wild drinkers who'd never stopped drinking once they started, and Kelly seems like she's fine having a couple of drinks and being a normal person.
Right.
But
Right. Yeah. And again, too,
it's not for everybody.
Yeah. Right. And also the road has got to be so difficult when it's just constantly present, constantly there, and it's just got to get tough after a while.
It was. People will say like it must be so hard to be out on the road and not be drinking. It's like what was really hard was being out on the road and drinking the amount that I wanted to drink, and then trying to maintain some level of composure or professionalism. It was a constant struggle, and once once I no longer had to worry about that, it's like my life became a lot easier and just sort of better in almost every way. Like some things, it's talking to drunk people is a lot less fun when you're not drunk.
Right.
Right,
But
sure.
pretty much everything else is better.
You're right. Yes, and congratulations on. I mean, that's definitely stuff that we like to put a light on because we hear from people who tune in that it's important to them to hear about that kind of stuff. So I always like to.
That's good. It's definitely something that I don't regret eliminating from my life, and I didn't realize how much it was gonna. I didn't realize how much it was affecting me to begin with. Like it's just it's a very nice. It feels like a weight off of my shoulders, and it feels like something that I no longer feel like I have to do constantly. And that's not to say that I like have much of a greater understanding of my mind or something, but at least I I could just see that the way that I was drinking was not, especially at the end, was not fun anymore. And I knew while I was doing it that I didn't want to be doing it in that way, but I still couldn't really rationalize why. And I guess that's just what addiction is. But I'm glad to not have to deal with that anymore. And I'm sure that my friends and the people that are around me feel the same way. I've got a lot of good people in my life who are very close to me who have been sober for a lot longer than me. And I really value their just kind of presence and example and mind when I need to get something off of mine.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's always important to have that kind of structure and support, around that for sure.
Andy already being sober when I stopped drinking was a huge help because I had this person who I was already closer to than almost anybody else who I could kind of like lean on in that sort of situation. Because it is everywhere. We play in bars every night, and especially starting out, it's like the booze is part of your payment.
Yeah,
really.
It's part of
like you're not making a lot of money, but you can drink as much as you want. It's like, well, I just drank more money than I actually got paid, so most of my pay tonight has been in alcohol.
Right.
And it's like I don't know, maybe that might lead that kind of thing might just lead some musicians to
develop a problem
overindulge a little bit when it's well, I got to get paid somehow.
No, I can hear that for sure. But thank you for sharing that. That's always something that we value, and thank you for your trust with that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And then the last one is, I think, just an interesting story that I had heard. I thought you would share that there was this time where you were trying to go from one gig to the next in the evening. It was a bad snowstorm, and you were about to kind of call it quits, that the road was icy and treacherous, and you were going to get off at the next exit, but you hit an ice patch, and the whole van flipped.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that was on...
and luckily no one got hurt. Like, I just, if you don't mind sharing the story, it's just a miraculous ending to that.
It was in the... it was actually before a show. We were heading to our first show tour, which was all the way up in Whitefish, Montana, and it was the first time we had ever opened for the Dead South. We've done a number of tours. The Dead South is a band from Canada. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but they're awesome, and they've been really good to us over the years and put us in front of a lot of different people. But yeah, our first tour with them, I was driving. We were in the middle of nowhere, had just crossed into, let's see, I think maybe we had just come out of Wyoming and just crossed into Montana. I think it was on like the Crow Reservation. There's just nothing around. There's nothing around there. And we hit a little patch of snow or something and just kind of went off the road. Did one nice little flip. I think one, it might have been two, but landed on our feet. And the van was essentially fine, miraculous. We were all fine. We were a little bit banged up. I think Andy took the worst of it. He got hit with a record box that was flying in the cabin. And he also popped the side passenger window out with his body during that. And it's insane to really think about rolling over on the highway. And we did that. We missed the first show in Whitefish, but we made the second show and did the entire rest of that tour in that van. I think we had to get a new exhaust pipe.
Sure.
And we had to screw a piece of plywood on where that window used to be, which we then painted to match the rest of the car.
Course, yeah.
And that van served us very well for years after that. Mm-hmm. And finally it rusted out. The gearbox rusted out at the very end of a tour, and the steering wheel just stopped working as soon as we dropped off Andy. The car basically was just like, I've had enough. It sighed.
I'm done touring.
And it
like
died.
The van's even...
And so at that point we called the insurance and said we totaled our van, and they gave us more money than we paid for it in the first place.
That's awesome.
That's why comprehensive insurance is a good thing to have.
That's exactly right.
But so, something that we've done with all of our vans in the past that Andy has kind of spearheaded this, but I helped him out, is we build in the back, we build a shelf system so that we can stack all of our gear up in the back, have it not be accessible from the front. So you couldn't smash a window and come get the gear. You would smash a window, you would find a plywood basically. Wall, basically. Right. But I was thinking about it after that accident, and I'm pretty sure that Andy's plywood cage back there served as a roll bar of sorts and made it so that the roof of the vehicle didn't get crushed when it flipped over.
You're probably right. Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. A lot of things, we got lucky in a lot of ways, and I'm thankful for every day that we have after that.
Absolutely. So thank you for all the stories. I want to make sure that we promote things coming up, because obviously you've got this great new music coming out. We shared the title track earlier of The Devil's Egg. So what I'm going to do here is bring up your site so we can promote
it.
So here's the hootenhallers.com. All new. Oh, this just
new. Andy made this whole website himself.
Right. Oh, nice.
So there's. And he also did. He did all of this cover art. Andy does a lot of our graphic design, a lot of our T-shirt design. He's the art man of the band.
Nice. So here is the tour.
Roots. We got Roots and Roll Barbecue, Lafayette, Indiana. That's going to be a cool one. Rose Bowl Tavern in Urbana, Illinois. I love the Rose Bowl Tavern. That's like a very cool little, nice. A very unpretentious country bar. Right. Paducah, Kentucky, 1857 hotel. We're always happy to be in Paducah. It's been a minute since we've been back to Sioux City, Iowa. Let's see, that's on the 12th. The Big Top in St. Louis, Missouri on the 26th. That's with Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band, who nice. I see you got the shirt on.
That's right. That's a
Big
great
Booty
combo,
Trudy
by the
Fest.
way. Like,
oh man,
you guys were kind of meant to perform.
We were
together.
So stoked to be playing with them, and we became really good friends with them too. They had us over to they've got a beautiful house in Brown County, Indiana. They had us all out there for a few days, and I got to play all Rev's guitars, and Breezy made us a bunch of meatballs, and it was just a really, really wholesome experience.
That's amazing.
We got Knuckleheads. Knuckleheads is a great place in Kansas City too.
Right, and that once you launch that second set, that's actually all where the Devil's Egg will be performed as well.
Yes,
right?
That will be the Devil's Egg after
that'll be
August
10th forward, right? Like if I'm understanding the dates on this correctly. Awesome.
Yeah, that August 10th hometown show, Columbia, Missouri, Rose Music Hall is the album release show.
Yes, and so for a lot of those shows. After that, if we are the headliner, we'll probably play for longer than so the Devil's Egg is on record. I think it's 38 minutes or 39 minutes. When we play it live, maybe it gets inevitably some songs I think are going to be faster, but we're going to take some time in between songs. So maybe we could say it's 45 live.
45, yeah.
You're right.
And then if we're opening for somebody, which we will be on this tour, there'll be some opening sets for sure. We'll just do the Devil's Egg and be done with it. But for those longer sets, we'll have another, 30 to 45 minutes to just play the old bangers too. So
nice.
No one goes disappointed on those.
Yeah,
nights.
and it's basically kind of through the end of August, a little bit into September, and then there's many, many more dates on their way. And like we said,
there'll be more, and then Europe tour next year. Yeah.
I always like to sling some merch, so let's click on buy stuff. You can get.
We got the pre-orders. We got an exclusive T-shirt.
Yep. T-shirt, LP, which also looks like it's got some sexy design to that too.
What is it? Copper Nugget.
Yeah, I think the description was copper
nugget vinyl.
Love it.
I love that. 180 grand.
Then there's other merch here. We've got hats. We've got bandanas.
This is our we got our signature seasoning blend, Garlic Storm. There. That's after Tony C's was unwilling to collaborate with us.
How does Tony C's not want
F you, Tony. We got our own seasoning blend now.
That's what you should have called it. F you, Tony.
No. Because if Tony ever wanted to come on and hook up, we would.
Right.
I think they're willing.
We would immediately grovel at the feet of Tony C.
Yeah.
Spice Lord.
And then there is, you mentioned the T-shirt designs. I need to just quickly change it to this tab that's sharing. Here's a little.
So Merch Op, yeah. Shout out to these guys. They do all of our T-shirt printing. They're based out of Carbondale, Illinois. Hugh and Heather Daniil, and they'll print any of these shirts. A lot of these we don't carry these designs anymore, but they will print one-offs or like hoodies. You can get all these printed on all different kinds of things, and they fulfill those orders for us, and we are always eternally thankful to them for the amount of
some really great designs.
Man, we've moved a lot of units from these guys in the past, and we're really looking forward to moving some more.
There you go. So yeah, definitely buy some merch. Go see the show when it comes to a town near you. And definitely stream and purchase the vinyl or the CD, whatever you'd like, of the new stuff. The Devil's Egg. Loving it. John Randall of the Hooten Hallers, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Philip. I had a great time, man. Maybe love to do it again sometime. Maybe we can get the whole band together.
Absolutely. If you do come this way, we could record something in person, maybe.
Oh, that'd be fun. We could do a little round table.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, thank you so much, John.
Well,
it's the way they do it in the Midwest.
It's really the best ending.
It's definitely quite awesome. But David,
Philip,
the Hooten Hallers,
fantastic.
Loved it. Loved the music. It's again like what was funny about it was we often talk about the Music Fest moment. It happened to me at Sellersville Theater, so I guess it's not exclusive to Music Fest.
Well, sure, but you were there because, I mean, we could really get into, like, the conspiracy theory yarn on the wall behind us and how you ended up there, but it is that same thing. It's the thing that you said early in the show. I have always lived by this, which is don't skip out on the openers.
Yep.
There's an opportunity there to find something new and take it all in.
Yeah. And definitely take in this new music. And like we said, their last album, right before this one, so it's actually, I guess, the current one still until August, but that Back in Business Again, the title track, we're going to play after the credits, so stick around for that.
All right, Phil, let's say goodbye to everybody.
Pretty perfect to play some Dixieland jazz to support all the other Riverboat stuff we got going on. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Your Next Favorite Band. We'd like to sincerely thank John Randall of the Hooten Hallers for joining us tonight, for sharing amazing stories, performing 2 beautiful songs live, and allowing us to feature the brand new music and the old stuff. Definitely, check out all their like we said, definitely buy the merch straight from them. Pick up the media, so whether it is the LP or the CD, and then go see them perform live in order to kind of support all the great stuff they've got going on. There will be links in the show notes to all of their various social media, their website, their YouTube channel, and please check that all out. Give them a like and a follow, and be sure to check out their content as it gets released. As always, our hope here is to bring you your next favorite band. If you happen to already know the Hooten Hallers and tuned in tonight because of that, thank you so much. We hope that you liked what you heard and what you saw, so that you might like and follow and subscribe our show, so that we can bring you your next favorite band in a future week. Or perhaps your next favorite band is already out there, and you can visit nextfaveband.com for all of our prior interviews, and it might be there for you to just simply discover. We've got lots of great stuff here coming through the rest of June and into July. And then, of course, we have all that really, really dense Music Fest content, which is awesome and can't wait for it. Hope to see you at a live show soon. Be sure to stick around here. One more song from the Hooten Hallers. Here is Back in Business Again.
I'm back in business again.